Talking about today's gospel and our current circumstances is hard. The story of Jesus revealing himself through breaking open scriptures and then through the breaking of the bread to the disciples on the way to Emmaus is the model for our Sunday liturgy. As Jesus broke open the scriptures, beginning with Moses and all the prophets, first we read passages from the Bible and contemporary inspired passages, and then interpret these writings as I am doing now. And then, as Jesus broke bread with the disciples when they stopped together for the night, so we gather at the altar for the blessing, the consecration of the bread that becomes our Holy Communion. Through all of these actions, Jesus is revealed to us in the words, in the consecrated bread and wine, and in one another. But now we are cut off from receiving the consecrated bread and wine. It is something that many of us are mourning at a time we are also mourning so much more. Over these recent weeks, some of us have lost loved ones or know people who have, but many of us have just had our lives turned upside down. Some have lost jobs or been furloughed. Others have begun working from home. Some of us still have jobs that we are thankful to have, but these jobs involve putting our health and the health of our families at risk to go into a shared physical workplace to do them. Our children, whether 20-something college students or preschoolers, or somewhere in between, have been sent home from their schools. Their future has become unclear. They've been cut off from friends, and now they need to complete their schooling online. Many left school so suddenly and in such confusion that they still have stuff left behind in their classrooms, dorms, lockers, or cubbies. And their teachers are struggling with the rest of us to feel their way through this new reality. Those who are retired amongst us are terrified to look at their retirement portfolios, which are tied into a turbulent stock market. This same group is amongst those most endangered by the virus. Going outside for simple errands like shopping has suddenly become a death-defying activity. They are dealing with a great deal of boredom and loneliness. Grandchildren, children, and friends cannot visit because they might carry the virus with them. In the midst of these losses, having some semblance of communion is something that would bring relief to many of us. For me personally, the resumption of the celebration of Holy Communion is particularly meaningful. I was not planning to still be celebrating Sunday worship with you today. I was supposed to be ordained as a priest last Saturday. Last Sunday, I was scheduled to celebrate my first communion as a priest. But now, all of that has been put on hold indefinitely until we can again gather in person in small groups and make physical contact within those groups. This is something that I've been working my entire life towards, and just when it seemed to be finally coming into fulfillment, has been put off for God only knows how long. And I know that many of us look to the National Cathedral or our Roman Catholic brothers and sisters and see communion being celebrated on television. Or you may have heard of people holding bread and wine at home up to their computers while the priest says the words of consecration. Or of priests consecrating bread and wine and then delivering both elements to people's houses or sending them by mail to congregants. But I think, as hard as it is to be without communion during this time, Bishop Sean has made the right decision in asking our parishes throughout the partnership to refrain from offering it. Communion is important, is valuable, and is precious. But it is important, valuable, and precious, not because a priest says magical words, or because unleavened bread is holier than Wonder Bread, or because wine is more sacred than beer, but because in coming together in communion, we are joining ourselves together with people across time and space in a common meal. A priest celebrating communion together with a select few, while the laity looks on, breaks this communion by creating a caste system of haves and have-nots. Consecration across cyberspace loses the intimacy of a priest touching the same bread that is being shared. and bringing pre-consecrated elements to people's homes separates the communion that is shared between the people and the priest from the communion within that bread and wine. When we share together in communion, the priest and the people come together in a dialogue with one another to offer the fruit of our labors to God and to one another. We break bread with one another and we share the same wine. No matter who we were when we came together or who we are when we leave, at Holy Communion, we are one family at one table together, breaking bread together with Jesus and those disciples at Emmaus. And until we can be together in person again, we need to content ourselves with breaking open the scriptures and sharing the liturgy of the words alone. Amen.